first time I saw her run, I said, whoa, this girl is rolling.
She was probably the best runner in the state, and she was a hopeful for the Olympics.
Shelley had left to go to a party in Center City and never returned home.
Flyers are going up. People were knocking on doors.
He found what appeared to be the remains of a human being.
People are shocked. This is not the outcome that they wanted.
Well, I'm hearing rumors of her mom being jealous, not being a good person at all.
She was sobbing periodically, but never did I see an actual tear.
It's just mind-boggling.
It's 1993 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love.
Philly was alive with energy. It was, it's the early 90s, so hip-hop is at an all-time high. It's a new art form. Everybody's, the fashion, Philly high schools, we're just like one big hip-hop video. In West Philly, you would have saw sweatsuits and colors and hoodies and fly sneakers and jewelry and leather jackets. You would have got all of that flavor.
On the evening of Tuesday, January 19th, police in West Philadelphia get a call from a concerned mother. Vivian King reports that her 17-year-old daughter, Shelley, is missing.
Her daughter had told her that she was leaving on Sunday night, the 17th, to go to a party.
Vivian had hoped that she had stayed overnight with a girlfriend. Shelley stayed out and stayed at girlfriends' houses frequently.
But now, her daughter has been gone for nearly 48 hours.
The last that this mother knew, her daughter was going to a party with friends. So what happened to Shelley? Why did she disappear?
Born on March 15, 1975, Shelley grew up in a quiet neighborhood in West Philadelphia.
Shelley lived on Edgewood Street, a working-class black neighborhood, and it was a very typical neighborhood.
Her stepfather was Clarence Jones, and her mother was Vivian King. Shelley's last name was Turner, but she did not know her father.
Shelley lived with her mother, her stepfather, who was also the biological father of her younger sister.
He had raised Shelley from when Shelley was like 6 months old. He had been in the picture all of those years. Vivian King was a nurse's aide. She helped Clarence Jones with his newspaper route. He delivered papers to a warehouse, and including the Sunday paper.
Shelley Turner was really a precocious kind of kid in that she had unbelievable talent.
She had been a runner from the time she was 7 years old. Shelley ran everywhere. She ran to the grocery stores, she ran in the neighborhood.
By the age of 10, Shelley was competing.
Shelley was one of those kids where every track meet, she's walking away like this with 4 trophies.
Her sophomore year in high school, Shelley transferred from Overbrook to William Penn High School to run for legendary coach Tim Hickey.
William Penn's track team was known nationally because of the quality of the girls there. Coach Hickey devoted his life to helping these girls.
William Penn did not have a track of its own, so the girls used to run on the streets. And that's how they became so good, because they were running on concrete.
They ran on the sidewalk, so he had markers out there for 200 meters, 400 meters. This man was brilliant. She adored Mr. Hickey.
Over the next 2 years, Shelly thrived.
She was a senior who had big things ahead for her. Big things. She was running very well.
She was probably the best runner in the state and probably one of the best in the country. And she was hoping to go to college. A couple of schools had already offered her scholarships. And she was hopeful for the Olympics.
She was very humble about it. She was very laid back with it. Like Shelly Turner would tear your head off on a track, but just as well go and just sit back and laugh with you and kick back. She wasn't boastful. She wasn't arrogant or conceited.
Vivian proudly displayed the proof of her daughter's success.
It was like a museum. You know, you walk in Shelly Turner's living room and there are medals, there are trophies, plaques. It was the first thing you noticed when you walked in. It was just wasn't room for anything else. And I told her, I said, if you win one more thing, it's gonna have to go on the porch.
Shelly was a rising star, but that didn't keep her from helping around the house.
Her mother was strict and she had a lot of responsibility.
She spent her almost entire time either with the track program, school, or at home babysitting her younger sister. She did have her girlfriends, but they were also mostly all track people too.
When you spend so much time with your teammates, it's just like, that's just what it is. You have other friends, you have outside interests, but we ran track. We didn't just participate. We lived it, we breathed it. You know, it was a part of everything we did.
Shelly was driven, responsible, and always where she was supposed to be. Until Vivian reports her missing on the evening of January 19th, 1993. An officer from Philadelphia's 19th District arrives at Vivian's home.
The officer was told by Vivian that her daughter, Shelly, had left on Sunday night to go to a party in Center City and never returned home.
Vivian said that she stayed awake and that Shelly didn't get home and that she eventually went to sleep. And the next morning, Shelly still wasn't there, but Vivian had hoped that she had stayed overnight with a girlfriend.
Shelly had a track meet that she was to be at on Monday, on Martin Luther King Day, even though there was no school that day. And she was the captain of the team, and she was a very pivotal part of the team.
Vivian tried to find out if Shelly showed up for the meet.
Vivian King called Mr. Hickey, and he did not return the phone call. So the next morning, which would have been Tuesday morning, Vivian King called the school and asked to speak with Shelly's first period teacher and found out that Shelly had not reported to school that day. Vivian then asked to speak with Mr. Hickey. The teacher went and got Mr. Hickey and brought him to the phone. And Vivian found out that Shelly was the only one that had not come to the meet.
She was the captain of the team. For her to not show up for the track meet indicated that there probably was a severe problem.
Vivian's next phone call was to police.
Anything could have happened to Shelly, from being abducted, being attacked, or just basically maybe stopping at another friend's house and spending the night.
The officer gathers more details.
The JAD officers would have asked what clothing she had been wearing. They would have gotten the names of some of her friends.
Shelly had a purple tracksuit on, purple sneakers.
That information was then passed on to the Juvenile Aid Division people and to the West Detective Division.
The search for Shelly Turner is on.
The entire division, police division and detective division, were made aware of the fact that she was missing.
On Tuesday, January 19th, 1993, investigators with Philadelphia's Juvenile Aid Division begin their search for Shelley Turner. The 17-year-old hasn't been seen since Sunday.
Shelley had told her mother that she was going to be going to a party that night.
It was like a citywide kind of fun thing where whenever there's no school on a Monday, the promoters would promote to us, and we were all in. You know, we liked to dance. William Penn was a dancing track team.
Investigators speak with Shelley's friend Andrea, who lives across the street. She reveals that Shelley didn't go to the party.
She had actually gone to visit a new boyfriend in North Philadelphia.
Shelley had kept her budding romance with fellow student Sean Williams from her mother.
Shelley had no intention of going to this party. Andrea was the only person who knew that Shelley was gonna hang out with Sean, her new boyfriend.
Before Shelley left on the bus for Sean's house, Andrea gave her some last-minute fashion advice.
Her friend said, well, your outfit isn't nice enough with what you're wearing. Wear this jacket with it.
Shelley's wearing a purple tracksuit and a black leather jacket. So that was what they were searching for when they were looking for Shelley.
For detectives, locating Sean Williams is their top priority.
He had transferred in. He was a new student at William Penn. They did talk with him immediately. They got his address through the school.
A couple of detectives came to my house to question me.
Sean tells detectives he met Shelley after transferring to Penn at the beginning of the school year.
My best friend, she kind of brought me into the fold with a lot of the groups and at William Penn, and Shelley was part of the track team. I'm seeing her in the gym, I'm seeing her smile. I think she got cute for me that day. She was definitely a pretty girl. After maybe talking on the phone a time or two, now I feel more comfortable kicking it with her.
So, a few days earlier, Sean invited Shelley to his house for Sunday dinner.
My mom fixed dinner every Sunday. She fixed a nice meal. We enjoyed dinner. We laughed. Our family laughs. Just did our Sunday thing. My mom loved her. So after dinner, we go up to the room. We chilling. We talking, listening to music. We having a good time. We just hanging out for a few hours. My mom's in the place, so we're being good. And I guess time got by us for a while. And now it's late.
At approximately 2 in the morning, Shelley had to go home, and he walked Shelley to the bus stop.
I wanted to make sure that she got home safely. The bus took about 20 minutes to come because it's Sunday night. I wanted to give her a kiss. And she was like, no, I don't kiss in public. In that time, the bus driver had to pause a moment to look at us.
Sean tells them Shelley got on.
From that information, they were able to track down the actual bus driver.
He does remember that Shelley went all the way to the last stop and that Shelley gets off on 60th and Girard.
The fact that the bus driver knew that she had gotten off the bus cleared the boyfriend from any involvement.
Now the question is, what happened to Shelley when she got off the bus?
The bus led her off 6 blocks from her home.
Did she get home? Did she not get home?
Life goes on. Track practices every day after school. Homework is due. College applications are due. But my friend is missing. And the world goes on. Teachers are not stopping. The city's not stopping. I've talked to people even now, present day, who said, Mister, that was a very scary time for Black girls in Philly because we did not know what happened to her. So now we're getting off trolleys. Now we're taking our earrings off. Everybody's guard was up, not just William Penn, not just Overbrook students, but this is a citywide thing now where one of the most popular girls in the city is missing. Imagine what that did to the anxiety levels of Black girls.
In Philadelphia, investigators have traced 17-year-old Shelley Turner's last known whereabouts to a bus stop 6 blocks from her home.
It was very late. Shelley was a young woman out by herself. It was a kind of rough neighborhood because there were a lot of alleyways and there were a lot of vacant houses.
Anything could have happened to Shelley from the time she got off the bus to the time she would have been able to reach her front door.
Police scour every inch between the bus stop and Shelley's home.
They searched the vacant houses, they searched the alleys looking for her. And they would have checked stores, checked neighbors.
Meanwhile, investigators interview Shelley's coach, Tim Hickey. He's deeply troubled over the disappearance of his protege.
Coach Hickey had known her for so many years and was, had such a deep knowledge of all the girls that he had on his track team.
She would talk to him and tell him things that perhaps she didn't tell anyone else. So there was a bond there. There was a trust.
Coach Hickey reveals that Shelley's relationship with Vivian was troubled.
It was not the greatest situation in our house. That there was an amount of conflict between Shelley and Vivian. Shelley had to bring her sister to practices and some of the meets that she had to go to because Vivian had made Shelley be a primary babysitter.
She was not seeing eye to eye with her mother regarding, her expectations, her curfews, and the things that she wanted in her household.
Coach Hickey reports that Shelley hadn't shown up the morning of the track meet.
Shelley was the only one that was not there. So Mr. Hickey, her coach, went to the house looking for Shelley to take with him along with the rest of the team on the van.
Shelley's little sister answered the door. Coach Hickey never saw Vivian, but she called out from upstairs.
Vivian informed him that Shelley had not come home the night before.
Vivian said, "She's not here. Check with Kwanda." Kwanda is Shelley's friend who was also on the team with her.
But Coach Hickey tells the investigators that Kwanda didn't know where Shelley was either. Detectives find it odd that Vivian knew Shelley hadn't shown up at the track meet the morning after she went missing. Not 2 days later, like she told police.
I think it would have been imperative that any caring parent would have notified the police immediately to begin an investigation to try to locate the child.
There is a question as to why Vivian waited so long. What was the reason for that?
As investigators continue to search for the missing teen, they get a phone call from Shelley's friend, Andrea.
Her girlfriend's, the one whose jacket it was, saw Clarence Jones wearing that jacket later and didn't understand how he would have gotten that jacket if Shelley never got home.
The fact would be that if the jacket was subsequently seen several days later, it meant that Shelley had come back to the house with that jacket. That directed our attention more to Clarence at that point in time as being possibly involved in what had happened with Shelley.
Detectives bring in Clarence for questioning.
Clarence explained that he just picked up a jacket that he saw in the living room. He didn't know whose it was. He just saw this jacket and he put it on.
Clarence is very adamant about the fact that he just grabbed the first jacket that he saw and that there were other jackets, black jackets, in the home.
Clarence says that on the night Shelley went missing, he got up at 2:30 a.m. to get ready for work.
And Shelley still wasn't home. And he kept asking, where's Shelley? Where's Shelley? And Vivian didn't know.
He delivered newspapers in the mornings. He would be gone from approximately 3 a.m. until he was finished his paper route.
Clarence's employer verifies his alibi.
Because of the timeline, it would not be possible for Clarence to have been home if Shelley did, in fact, go back to her house the night that she went missing.
The search of the 6 blocks between Shelley's house and the bus stop is also a dead end.
They have no leads. The Philadelphia department has 0.
It became an everyday focus of the media here in Philadelphia of what happened to Shelley, where is Shelley?
Now flyers are going up. They're hanging them on telephone poles. There were marches, people were walking, they were looking, they were knocking on doors.
This particular community came together and raised $6,000. This neighborhood is not a neighborhood of affluence, you know, there's not a lot of money going around. But people were very invested. They wanted to find Shelley. Days turns into weeks, and now people are becoming desperate, and people want answers. People want Shelley to be alive. They want to find her alive.
It's February 1993. Shelley Turner has been missing for 4 weeks. Speculation runs wild through her West Philadelphia neighborhood.
She might have been grabbed. She might have been held captive. She might have been killed. She might have run away.
The city, especially the West Detective Division and the uniform districts in West Philadelphia, were in a constant search for Shelley.
As the community continues to look for the 17-year-old track star, taking center stage is her mother, Vivian.
She's a local celebrity. People hear her on the radio, they read about her in the newspaper, they've seen her on TV.
There were marches led by Miss King, and she was very much in the news media, presenting herself to them as a grieving mother.
Behind closed doors, Vivian is less optimistic.
I started going to Vivian King's house, of course, with my teammates, but after a while, like as the days go on, as the weeks go on, the crowds get smaller. The visits are fewer. So there were times I went by myself. She would say, we're never gonna see Shay again. She said, mister, this is bad. I said, don't say that. You know, as a 17-year-old, I'm like, no. We're gonna work this out. She said, I feel it in my gut. We ain't never gonna see her again. She was very negative about ever seeing her daughter again. And of course, that made me very sad. That made me very upset.
On February 20th, 33 days after Shelley went missing, the case takes a grim turn.
A man was out walking his dog in the Fairmount Park area of Philadelphia near the Mann Music Center.
You're talking about a huge open area with trees. That area is very well populated in the summer, but not so much in the winter.
The dog was acting strange and pulled the man into an area where there were some trees, a wooded area.
The dog guides him toward a blue tarp, streaked with what appears to be dried blood.
When the man went to investigate, he found what appeared to be the remains of a human being.
Within minutes, the park is swarming with law enforcement. They see what appears to be the body of a young female.
Her body was frozen because it was a very, very cold period of time here in Philadelphia. The type of sweatshirt she had on was an inside out. It was on inside out. The pants she had were somewhat of track kind of clothing. Also, there were no footwear. To us, it appeared to us that, she had dressed very, very quickly to leave wherever she had been prior to being there in the park. It was recognized that it very possibly could be the body of Shelley Turner.
While the cause of death isn't clear, wounds to the victim's face and head indicate foul play.
There was indications of blunt force trauma. The way that her hands were found with her body being frozen, her hand was up in front of her face as if she were trying to ward off the attack.
Investigators do not locate any other evidence.
So at that point, they didn't have any conclusive answers.
The next day, Vivian comes to the morgue.
Her body did not deteriorate because of the cold, because she was frozen.
Vivian is shown 5 pictures. They're Polaroids. So based off those 5 pictures, Vivian does in fact identify Shelley Turner as the young woman that they found in Fairmount Park.
The medical examiner determines a cause of death.
Shelley was hit in the head with an object, and then she was shot 6 times.
She has some shots through her chest, through her head, and through her left hand.
Now it's a homicide. And we would start back at the very beginning and re-interview everyone.
The day after she IDs her daughter's body, homicide detectives meet with Vivian at her home.
She was very adamant that we should look into Sean because she related to us that night that she believed Sean lied to her.
Vivian tells detectives she called Sean after Shelley disappeared.
According to her, Sean had made a sausage sandwich for Shelley while she was there, and Vivian inquired whether it was pork or beef, and according to Sean initially, it was a pork sandwich. And then when she questioned him more about the kind of sandwich, he eventually said, oh, perhaps it might have been a beef sandwich. And she felt that was extremely important because, according to Vivian, Shelley was allergic to pork. And when we left the house, that was going to be our next step. We knew that Sean was going to be someone that we wanted to speak to.
This goes from a missing juvenile case to now a homicide. It was heartbreaking for this to be the end. After all the searching, after all the posters, track teams from everywhere, going out there trying to find Shelley Turner. People are shocked by this information. People are mourning. The whole community, the whole city is invested. They've been searching for her.
After learning that her daughter's missing persons case has just been declared a homicide, Vivian King encourages police to look again at her daughter's suitor, Sean Williams.
We went to his residence, and then we asked Sean if he would come with us to homicide to give a formal statement, and he agreed to do that.
I'm a 17-year-old kid at this time, so I'm not thinking about if you're trying to ask me questions to trick me up or anything like that. I have no sense of that at all. Like, I'm just answering your questions as honestly as I possibly can. And I just wanted to help.
He also agreed to be polygraphed.
I didn't have anything to hide. I wasn't scared.
The person conducting the test informed us that there was no deception indicated. by Sean, and that it was the operator's belief that he was telling the truth, that Shelley had gotten on the bus that evening when she disappeared and was last seen by Sean at that point in time. It was not Sean. Sean had no hand in whatsoever what had happened to Shelley.
Shelley's funeral takes place on February 27th. Over 1,200 people turn out.
It was with teenagers everywhere, just bawling their eyes out, just losing it. It was a mess. It was probably one of the worst days of our young lives. There was very little emotion with Vivian King. You know, maybe a tear trickled, maybe. We were like overwhelmed with grief, and this woman was sitting there with a tight jaw and a tight face. Nobody hugged Vivian King. Nobody talked to her.
Well, I'm hearing rumors of her mom being jealous. They don't get along. I'm hearing, just rumors of her mom just not being a good person at all.
The whispers and stares don't go unnoticed.
About a week and a half after Shelley's body had been discovered, Vivian called. She was hearing rumors, and she wanted to know how she could dispel those rumors. We went over everything again, everything that had transpired from the day that Shelley was last seen. And she related to us how she had cooked dinner, and she right away said she made pork chops, peas, and potatoes, mashed potatoes. Vivian obviously did not remember that she had told us that Shelley had been allergic to pork. Vivian herself was lying. She was trying to direct us towards Sean.
But why? Unaware she was just caught in a lie, Vivian continues her quest to clear her name.
She had mentioned that she had been told that she could take a lie detector test. Vivian, at that point in time, was very adamant she wanted to take that because she believed that she could then tell people she took a polygraph test and passed the test and had nothing to do with what had happened to Shelley.
Results were she had flunked.
We informed her that there was deception indicated, that she was not telling the truth. Vivian started telling us at that point that there were things she just didn't remember. Bits and pieces would come back to her, but she was telling us she just had trouble remembering everything from that night.
Detectives questioned Vivian for hours.
We quietly reviewed with her the problems with her story. The pork chop, Shelley being allergic to that. Also the fact that the black jacket was seen being worn by Clarence days after Shelley had supposedly left and never returned to the house. Vivian, was actually recognizing that the lies that she had told and that none of them were going to hold up. And at that point, she basically was willing to say what had happened.
Vivian tells police that on Sunday, January 17th, she had been out with friends.
She had consumed quite a bit of liquor, and she was also telling us how she had a problem with liquor. When she came home that evening, she found that Shelley had left to go to the party.
Shelley's 1 a.m. curfew came and went.
Vivian waited up for a long period of time and was getting angrier and angrier.
Shelley got into the house about 2:30, having walked from the bus stop. When she got home, her mother and she got into an argument about what time she had come in, and they got into a fight.
And they start kind of tussling back and forth.
Vivian then went upstairs and got her own gun from under her mattress and went downstairs and then confronted Shelley again.
Vivian says that she hit Shelley in the head with the gun and then tells Shelley, "You can't live here anymore. You're not following my rules."
Her mother said I'm going to take you to the police station, and they're going to put you in a home for bad girls. So she made her get into the car.
The arguing continued.
Vivian claims that she got so angry that she did not go to the police station. She was gonna go fight Shelly.
She then drove into the park. She drove some distance across the grass, according to her, stopped near some trees.
Vivian King made Shelly get out of the car in the park. And they said, okay, we're going to fight here. And they actually got into a fist fight.
Shelly had picked up a bottle from the ground, and when she did, Vivian then hit Shelly on the side of the head again with the gun.
Shelly fell to the ground, stunned by the blow.
And while she was laying on the ground, Vivian fired her gun.
Vivian took her gun and shot Shelly 6 times, killing her. She then left her under a tarp that was in the park and some weeds and things, and then went home.
She put her gun back under her mattress and went to sleep.
She says she wakes up the next morning and feels like she just had a bad nightmare.
She had a look of resignation on her face. She was sobbing periodically, but never did I see an actual tear.
Vivian King is arrested and charged with Shelly's murder.
When the news broke that she confessed, of course, that like rocked everybody's world. Now all I see is pure evil.
But just days later, at her arraignment, Vivian pleads not guilty.
She says the confession was coerced.
After confessing to shooting her 17-year-old daughter to death in a park, Vivian King now claims her confession was coerced. She sticks by her innocence until October 20th, 1993, when her trial begins.
I'm arguing for first-degree murder, for life as the penalty. I really thought 6 shots was enough for murder 1.
The case hinges on Vivian's confession, a confession she now claims isn't true.
They had no evidence. They had nothing to tie her to it. They didn't have the gun, and they had nothing to convict her except for the confession.
Prosecutors call multiple witnesses who attest to Vivian's well-known temper.
She liked to drink. That was her sport. She liked to go to bars. She liked to fraternize in bars.
When she did drink, she knew that she got angry, and most of her anger was always directed at Shelly.
Shelly was a star. Shelly shined on that track.
She was very jealous of Shelly.
Coach Hickey testifies that Shelly was one of the best runners in the country, in spite of her mother.
She was one of the few parents, I think, who did not go to the meets.
Prosecutors present Vivian's confession as proof of what happened when tension between mother and daughter came to a head.
It was so horrifyingly specific that you're not going to come to the great detail of that kind of confession unless you really did it.
Vivian takes the stand.
Her defense is, I didn't say this willingly. I was coerced into this confession.
Vivian claims the only part of the confession that's true is that she was drunk.
In total, Vivian has had about 88 ounces of liquor over the course of those hours. That's about 11 cups.
Her attorneys argue that Shelley probably fell victim to a random act of violence.
There was conversation about this possibly being a robbery. She did not have her shoes. She did not have a Walkman that Andrea, her friend from across the street, had loaned her. She was missing an earring.
The jury deliberates for 6 hours.
Ultimately, the jury found her guilty of third-degree murder.
It's very hard for a jury to believe that a mother who has raised a daughter 17 years intends to kill her, even with 6 shots to the head and the body. It's just hard. It's easier for them to think, okay, she was drunk, but she didn't really intend for her to die.
It's just mind-boggling to think that a mother could stand over her daughter and shoot her, but we believed the confession.
Vivian is sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. She's released after 11 years.
What happened with Shelley, I believe, that time of my life, it stunted my growth. I'm still mourning.
She was a real person who had real dreams. Her story deserves to be told. I think her legacy deserves to be heard.
Outside Atlanta, a chilling murder rocks the community.
DeKalb County Police need your help identifying a group of men accused of killing a security guard.
He tried to stop him and they shot him.
This was an execution.
A young detective must piece together
He was right here, firing.
an unbelievable whodunit.
You think you're one step closer and you go 2 steps back?
It was crazy. A grainy video with a key clue.
We knew at the time we were looking for quite a few guys involved in this.
Puts the investigation on a path.
I think I see the suspect's vehicle.
Riddled with deception.
I wasn't in the...
They were able to bring him back a few times, but the damage was already done.
They couldn't fix his heart. This kid with the biggest heart in the world. You can't fix his heart.
Now imagine 30 people in the middle of the street. This wasn't just a fight, it was a brawl, a riot.
He has his cell phone up, it kicks on and starts recording, and it captures the ultimate moment.
There was a picture posted on social media. There was a comment made.
That comment started a firestorm.
We want to fight, we want to fight, we want to fight.
The end result is this huge desire for payback, to get revenge. He came with the intent to seek and destroy, and that's what he did.
Just before 5 p.m. on March 18, 2020, 911 dispatchers in Albany, New York, received multiple calls about a street brawl on Madison Avenue.
You just have absolute chaos. It's people running around, you're screaming. It's just a formula for disaster.
911, I have a disturbance at Madison Avenue. Okay, is there a fight going on there? Absolutely, yes. Somebody's gonna get hurt out here.
You can hear a series of 911 calls.
I was on the phone with 911, my mom was on it, everyone was on the phone.
When police finally arrive at the scene, there's people all over the place, and a 22-year-old man laying in a pool of blood.
Paramedics reached the young man who was bleeding from an injury to his chest. Several of the young man's family members are among the crowd. They identify him as 22-year-old Maurice Skeen.
He's on the ground and he said, Graham, I gotta get up. I gotta get up, Graham. He said, I can't breathe. And I said, no, Maurice, you can't get up. You can't get up. You have to lay down.
Maurice Moskeen was born on January 24th, 1998. Maurice's parents weren't able to care for him, so his grandmother, Tracy, stepped up to the plate.
When he was 5, he came to live with me permanently. We were inseparable from that point on. Maurice was an easy kid. He was easy. He wanted to make you happy. And as long as you were okay, he was okay.
Maurice was talented and confident.
Maurice wanted to play basketball because his brothers played basketball. But Maurice wasn't that good at basketball. But he stuck with it, and he continued with it until he became really good at basketball.
Maurice graduated high school.
He kept his grades up. He did excellent in school. So proud to see him walk across that stage. After he graduated Albany High School, he went to Mohawk University. And he was just excited about going to college and happy to be there.
And Albany graduating is a big deal within itself. Some people aren't fortunate enough to do that. So with him graduating and going off to college, he made everyone very proud with him.
He wanted to be an engineer because he was very good at math and measurement and all of that.
But at school, something else grabbed his interest.
He went to college. Some kind of way he got interested in rap. And he came home from school one day and he said, "Graham, I'm gonna be a rapper. If that's what you want to do, I support you." And he put everything he had into becoming a rapper.
Maurice teamed up with his friend, Jamir.
Got an opportunity to open up for Little Baby and The Baby, and with us opening up, me and Maurice, it was about 200 to 300 people within the stands getting ready for a packed out show. And that was great.
In 2020, Maurice shifted his focus to helping his grandmother realize a dream of her own.
Maurice knew that I wanted my own restaurant. That's always been my dream. So him and his brothers got together and they presented me with a storefront. And he took me down there and he opened the door and both of them was like, "Graham, this is your dream."
Him and his brother put their minds together to get this rental space that was like gutted. They went in and they threw out all the old stuff. They was painting, they was doing floors, they was sheetrocking, and he was doing majority of the work. So that was happening, and then boom.
But before the business is ready to open, a street brawl leaves Maurice bleeding from a stab wound to the chest.
He was still conscious at that time, but he could say that it hurt. It hurts.
This young man is still laying in his pool of blood, conscious, saying that it hurts. So paramedics try to stop the blood and rush him to Albany Hospital.
When law enforcement first arrived, the scene was hectic and crowded. Within a matter of minutes, the crowd has disappeared.
So many people involved, maybe up to 50 people that are located there as potential witnesses. Unfortunately, most people took off.
Instead, investigators look for physical evidence.
Police are doing their job, combing the area, looking for evidence, trying to find any little piece that would lead them to a suspect, but all they find is a pool of blood and a hairbrush laying in it.
The blood is photographed, and the hairbrush bagged as evidence. Then, detectives spot something that might give them what they need. Cameras.
The police department have direct access to cameras at red lights at most intersections. It gives them the ability to see if at that intersection where this fight took place, whether or not there's any camera angles that pick up the fight, parts of the fight, maybe the stabbing.
Investigators request footage from the city.
In order to stab someone, especially in the heart, you have to be at a certain range. You have to be in close proximity. So the question is, who was Maurice fighting?
22-year-old Maurice Skeen is fighting for his life at Albany Medical Center after being stabbed in the chest during a street brawl. His family waits at Maurice's grandmother's house for news of his condition.
It was COVID, all of that rules and stuff. So we calling to see how he doing in the emergency room, calling. And they put me on hold. And she was like, we have to get back to you.
Hours later, homicide detectives show up at the front door.
I was like already frustrated, so like when they came in, they was like lingering a little bit. But I'm like, just speak, like.
And it was like, if I didn't make it.
Doctors tried really hard to keep him alive, and they were able to bring him back a few times. But the wound was deep, there was a hole in his heart, a piece was gone, so the damage was already done. Maurice Skeen dies of a single stab wound to his heart.
They couldn't fix his heart. His heart. This kid with the biggest heart in the world, you can't fix his heart.
In spite of the family's grief, detectives must press them for information about the brawl. They say it started when a young woman from the neighborhood, Layla, passed away. Layla suffered from spinal muscular atrophy.
When she passed away, there was a wake. Somebody took a photo of Layla at the wake.
There was a picture posted on social media, and there was a comment made.
The comment was posted by Maurice's cousin, 18-year-old Talia Green.
One of the girls said she looked flat. My niece Talia said, flat like who? Flat Stanley?
Flat Stanley was a child's story about a boy that was as flat as a piece of paper.
And then that, everybody got the laughing emoji. And after that, my niece's phone was just ringing, chirping, dinging off the hook.
Everybody took it the wrong way. I mean, I know I should never said it, but yeah. People was texting me all over Messenger, asking me, like, oh, why you say that? Basically, like, coming aggressive to me. Oh, we want to fight, we want to fight, we want to fight.
The tension came to a head earlier that evening.
I was at home watching television, me and Talia. She's always in my bed, so we were laying in my bed watching TV. And her phone was blowing up. There was no way that this was just one person texting that fast and that many at a time. And so I looked over and I said, who is that blowing up your phone like that? And she was like, these stupid girls, Grandma. I was like, well, what's going on with these stupid girls? She said, and now everybody wants to fight me.
She was very loved by a lot of people. So when people saw this Facebook post of Talia, things became heated. Emotions being what they were at the time after the loss of someone that they loved.
There were a car full of girls that came to fight Talia that day. Talia has always been a tough kid.
So Talia went out there, Dad, go with the name. She went out there and she fought. I'm calling the police. They're not answering. They're not sending anybody. Cop rides by, I stop him.
The fight gets broken up. The cops basically talk to them and say, you got to get out of here. The girls say something like they're going to come back. Shortly after the police leave, people came back, but this time a lot more.
And that's when Maurice and my other grandson got up and went outside. My protector went out there to protect, as he always does.
He's tried to like de-escalate the situation, but you know, it got worse.
And that's when all hell broke loose.
This wasn't just a fight. It was a brawl, a riot, something straight out of a movie.
Tracy is calling 911 and trying to get the cops back, and she keeps calling, and they're telling her someone's coming.
911, what's that? If you're emergency, I'm calling about now. Y'all waiting for somebody to get killed? What's going on there? You can hear what's going on.
And they just don't get there fast enough.
A girl yells out to me, "Yo, you better get your boy. He leaking." And so when I looked up, I saw blood on Maurice's shirt. And so I ran to him. And I guess that's when he noticed, because he hadn't noticed that he was even stabbed at the time. And I carried him out to the sidewalk, and I laid him down.
In the chaos, Maurice Skeen had been stabbed.
I just didn't expect a lot of this. All of this, I didn't expect to be sitting here talking about him in the past tense.
In his service, there was a good amount of people at his service. Unfortunately, it was during COVID, so there was a lot of restrictions on what could and couldn't be done. We was allowed to have a viewing for him, and we was allowed to bring him to the graveyard. We weren't allowed to do an actual service, but for the viewing and for bringing him to the graveyard, there was a great number of people. Once again, he was charismatic, you know, so he was a hard guy not to like.
Investigators in Albany, New York, learned that the deadly street brawl that led to the stabbing death of Maurice Skeen was the result of a clash on social media.
There was a comment said, and there was back and forth going on. It transpired into them fighting. Ended in Maurice getting stabbed.
The brawl took place outside of Maurice's grandmother's home. While several of his relatives witnessed the chaos, no one witnessed the actual stabbing.
The fight was total chaos. I couldn't remember none of it because I was so emotional up there.
I didn't even know who had done it. And I was right there, I didn't know.
Nobody knew who killed him. Nobody saw.
Maurice's godmother, Shantae, recalls seeing one man make verbal threats toward Maurice.
The gentleman kept saying, "Yo, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you." And he had his hand in his pocket. That hand never left his pocket. The boy had the illest look in his eye. And he kept telling Mo he was gonna kill him. Kill him. Kill him. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. He said it so much that Shantae said that the hairs literally stood up on her real head. You understand? Under her wig. She said she believed him.
Was the man gripping a knife inside his pocket? Shantae is unable to ID him. Talia gives investigators the names of several individuals who were present at the fight.
I know of most of them. Like, I went to school with most of them, passed them in the hallway or whatever.
Hopeful that someone else saw something, investigators start knocking on doors.
All of the witnesses that were there, the neighbors and everything, not one person saw this person with a knife in their hand that actually stabbed the victim.
But that doesn't mean they can't help.
A lot of the neighbors came outside and people started recording with their phones.
You had people filming from their windows, from the buildings.
As technicians work to collect the footage, investigators hone in on the list of names from Talia.
The detectives put together what are called photo rays. They showed these photo rays to the family members so that they could try to begin to identify who had come to the house and engaged in this fight with Maurice.
Shantae is certain she spots the man who threatened Maurice.
I didn't see the stabbing, but I know who said he wanted to kill him.
Shantae Coleman identified this person, Darius Coakley, in a photo ray saying this is the person.
Investigators are eager to speak with 21-year-old Darius. But when they go to his home, they learn from witnesses that Darius is gone.
He packed up his things quickly, called his mother, and left the area. He deactivated his social media.
It appears that Darius is laying low. As investigators continue to look for him, they learn the footage from the city's surveillance cameras is ready.
Unfortunately, we, pretty quickly learned that although it caught portions of the fight, where the stabbing happens is right out of view.
Investigators still have the cell phone footage collected from witnesses, which has continued to trickle in as news of Maurice's death spreads through his neighborhood.
Given that they were cell phone videos, they were moving a lot. They were not steady, and they were from a variety of angles. It wasn't clear where the knife was or who was doing the stabbing.
The most difficult part in this case was sorting out who was responsible for stabbing Maurice, because he was fighting with multiple different people and it was only a single stab wound. It was a very quick blow that struck him one time.
We decided to send those videos to the New York State Police Lab so that they could arrange them and use technology to try to make it less complicated or confusing. And that took a lot of time. They have, a massive caseload.
While they wait, investigators ask Maurice's family to take a look at the videos, paying close attention to who was near Maurice.
In watching the videos, we could see that where we believe Maurice had been stabbed, there was at least 3 people that could have been the suspect.
One of those men is Darius Coakley. Maurice's family helps identify the other 2.
The 2 individuals that were closest to Maurice at the time of the stabbing, apart from Darius Coakley, was Ramir Stevenson and a Najalik Giggets. Before Maurice is stabbed, the person that he is physically fighting with and punching is Ramir Stevenson.
If you watch the videos and my cousin come out the gate, he's the first person he come in contact with fighting.
Darius Coakley can see that the victim is fighting with Ramir, and he positions himself right behind a vehicle that they're going to pass through. And at that area where basically 2 cars are parked at a curb is the victim, Maurice Skeen, Darius Coakley, Ramir Stevenson, and Najali Giggets, all in a very confined space. And we know that Maurice is stabbed there.
Did Ramir stab Maurice as they fought? Or did Darius or Najalik take advantage of the chaotic moment to plunge a knife into Maurice's heart?
There were 3 main potential suspects. We knew that we had to eliminate 2 individuals that did not do it.
Following the stabbing death of Maurice Skeen, investigators in Albany used cell phone video collected from witnesses to narrow the list of suspects down to 3. Darius Coakley, Ramir Stevenson, and Najali Giggets. They find Ramir the next day.
When the police find Ramir Stevenson, he is stopped by law enforcement in, I believe it was North Carolina, a southern state. He is arrested because he has a large quantity of marijuana in the car. And when the police find out that he'd been stopped in North Carolina, they either drove or flew to interview him. He was willing to speak with the police, and he told them, if I remember correctly, that he didn't know who had stabbed the victim, that he wasn't the one that did it. But he was willing to speak to a degree openly about what happened, which was not ultimately very indicative of him being the suspect.
As for the remaining two suspects, Darius Coakley remains in the wind. And it looks like Najali Giggets may be as well.
We obtained information that he fled immediately after, and that's also a huge indicator of someone's guilt that we look at as detectives, is what are someone's actions after they commit a crime.
Najali Giggets had some warrants on some other charges, and it appeared that he was hiding out.
Months after the murder, investigators get an unexpected surprise when Darius reaches out to them. They learn that Darius has spent the last couple of months at his father's house in Brooklyn.
Darius hired an attorney. That attorney called the police department and said, don't speak to my client. And if there are going to be charges, you are going to, charge my client with any sort of a crime, contact me.
For the next several months, the investigation stalls out. Maurice's family grapples with grief and unanswered questions.
With situations like this, right, everyone wants answers quick, right? We forget that there's a process that goes on with everything. So there was times when everyone is frustrated.
We felt that this was a heat of the moment homicide. This was personal in the moment, and we felt that the risk was worth taking our time.
Over a year after Maurice was killed, investigators finally locate Najali Giggets. Najali denies stabbing Maurice, and it appears he avoided questioning because of his outstanding warrants. With all three suspects denying involvement, investigators have no choice but to turn back to the evidence. They learn that the state lab has finished compiling the cell phone videos.
We had sent the videos to the lab, and we got back what are called compilation videos. Simple enough, right? They laid them out the best that they could. But even them, they were tough to discern.
There is a moment in one of the videos that catches their attention.
On that video, after Darius Coakley is getting thrown around by Maurice Skeen, you see someone run over and bend down to grab something.
It's funny how timing is, but a truck passes by on video and blocks what she is reaching over, bending over to pick up. But it captures just enough to show that she bends down and picks something up in the middle of the street.
Police can only assume that this can potentially be the murder weapon.
They keep watching. Investigators come upon another clip that appears to zero in on the exact seconds they have been looking for.
As fate may have it, there was a gentleman, he was sitting at a red light, and he witnesses this brawl start, and lucky for us, he put up his cell phone and hit record.
When we took that video, zoomed in on it, and went frame by frame, you're actually able to see when the knife is displayed by Darius.
And it captures the ultimate moment. Darius pulls out a knife and stabs the victim in the heart. Darius stabbed Maurice. It's the type of thing that once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Investigators know they will need more than a grainy video to convict Darius. Law enforcement identified the young woman in the video as Alexis Brown. Albany police bring her in for questioning.
They show her the video footage. She felt cornered and she decided to cooperate.
She was actually quite forthcoming with information, and I think that she truly wanted to help us.
Alexis goes on to share that she was the driver to a group of people who were part of the fight, and that there was someone in her car with a knife.
That person was Darius Coakley. Alexis describes the brawl as pure chaos. And then, all of a sudden, she realized it had turned deadly.
You just see arms. You don't know what struck him, who struck him. He's holding his chest, and then he's just gasping. He just go down to one knee. He's just sitting there.
Alexis says she saw Darius fleeing toward her car. He called back to her.
She hears a male voice as she says it on the stand. She hears a male voice come from her car and say, you know, pick that up or pick up the knife. And she looks down in the middle of the street and sees it. She picks up the knife.
During that interview, she stated that she put it in the cup holder of her vehicle and then didn't see what happened to the knife after that.
While Alexis didn't see the stabbing, her statement allows investigators to connect the dots.
There was only one person who was injured to the point where they were bleeding. That knife had to have been the weapon that stabbed and killed Maurice.
Police in Albany have zeroed in on Darius Coakley as the prime suspect in the stabbing death of Maurice Skeen. They learned that 21-year-old Darius is a lifelong resident of Albany.
Darius had a mother who was a single mom, working 2 jobs. He was never in any sort of legal trouble. Darius had no criminal record.
They also learned that Darius met Layla in high school. He formed an intense bond with the young woman in the wheelchair.
Darius and her were incredibly close. He obviously cared, loved this person.
Investigators believe that Darius was grief-stricken over Layla's death. So much so that he joined a group headed to seek revenge in her name at Maurice's grandmother's house. But investigators believe that Darius headed into the fight armed with more than his fists.
That's the thing, Darius included a weapon. And, you know, he's the only one. He's the only one out of all the people that were fighting, 30 plus people. Everybody just used their hands, but he felt the need that to pull out a knife.
Over a year after the murder, Darius is finally arrested on August 6th, 2021.
We felt 100% confident presenting it to a grand jury. Once the grand jury indicted him for murder in the 2nd degree and we had a warrant in hand from the grand jury, we contacted his attorney, who then had him turn himself in to the police department.
When Darius came into the police station, he had just shark eyes looking at us like there was no soul left in his eyes. And I told him that he was under arrest for murder.
Prosecutors prepare for trial. As they do, they realize a potentially catastrophic mistake.
The crime scene and the placement of some of the blood evidence was really crucial in this case. And in the crime scene photos, you could see that where he went to the ground, there was a big spot of blood. The police never swabbed that pool of blood.
A weak point defense attorneys will certainly seize.
That pool of blood was important because he must have been stabbed before he lands on the ground with the pool of blood. And the people he was with right before that must have been the stabber.
In a case like this, all you need is reasonable doubt in order to have the suspect walk.
The defense at trial, they could easily say that, you know, they can't prove that he was stabbed at that point. That could have been someone else's blood. They can't prove to you whose blood that was.
Prosecutors team up with investigators. They pore over the evidence, zeroing in on what could be their saving grace.
A hairbrush gets dropped during the scrum in the street and it lands in blood. That hairbrush was collected. That hairbrush was in the pool of blood. We rushed that hairbrush to the lab. They did DNA testing and it was Maurice's blood, just like we knew it was.
So by process of elimination, we can say Maurice Skeen was stabbed here. Who was around him at that time? And we're just systematically going through and dissecting the video evidence and the witness statements we have. And once we determined who was in proximity of Maurice at the time of the stab, we knew it was Darius Coakley, Najee Giggets, and Ramir Stevenson. At the time of the stab, Ramir Stevenson has his hands out, nothing in them. Najee Giggets, you can see him fighting, nothing in his hands. The only person with something in their hand was Darius Coakley, and it was in his left hand.
As Darius's trial date looms near, prosecutors are confident. But so is Darius. Instead of alleging he didn't intend to kill Maurice, Darius pleads not guilty.
Darius Coakley opted to go all or nothing. Here's someone who had no prior criminal record. He hasn't been to state prison. Darius does not want to take that chance. He goes all in.
In November 2022, 2.5 years after Maurice Skeen is stabbed during a street brawl, his accused murderer, Darius Coakley, goes on trial. Darius's defense team makes the most of the chaos that surrounded Maurice's murder.
A common defense tactic can be confusion. In a street fight, there was so much going on that the argument really was you can't tell what's happening.
The defense team took a stand of trying to pin the murder on the other two suspects, Ramir Stevenson and Najee Giggets.
Their focus really was simply that it was not him and focusing on Ramir and Najee. They didn't call any witnesses. The defendant didn't testify.
Prosecutors counter. They call Maurice's family members, who give heart-wrenching accounts of the night he died.
Maurice's grandmother testified about Maurice being the protector, the elder boy of the family, and he's trying to protect the family. Telling everybody they need to leave, stop disrespecting my grandmother's house. Darius, the defendant in this case, got into his face.
And during that part of it, Maurice sort of takes his hand and mushes it into Darius and sort of shoves him away.
Shantae, Maurice's godmother, testifies that Darius became enraged.
Darius just gets incredibly mad. He's seething. He is saying that he's going to kill him. He is saying verbally he's going to kill him.
Prosecutors show what happened next when they present the jury with video from the brawl.
I was able to really present to them some still shots that were zoomed in, slowed down with, things that were circled and show it to them over and over again.
It really came together with the state police and the phenomenal video work they did, where now we had a knife in Coakley's hand. We had a knife in Coakley's left hand, and he's using that left hand with that knife to stab Maurice Skeen in the chest.
You could see clearly that it was not Najee and Ramir. it was Darius Coakley.
As they close, prosecutors are clear that Darius's actions in those seconds were no accident.
He did have the intent to cause the death because where he stabbed him. He stabbed him right in the middle of his chest, which is where we all know what's in the middle of our chest, which is the heart, and that's exactly where he got him. So even though he only stabbed him once, we believe that he had the intent to cause the death of Maurice.
Maurice was defending his family, like I believe any man would do. Darius came to seek and destroy. He came with a knife. He came with the intent to seek and destroy, and that's what he did.
Finally, after closing arguments, the jury announces they have reached a verdict.
Darius Coakley was found guilty of second-degree murder in the case of Maurice scheme.
The judge imposed 25 years to life in state prison. You have a crass comment which prompted this huge desire for payback, to pay back, get revenge. We're gonna get revenge for what you said to this young woman who just died 3 weeks ago. And then you have Darius Coakley, plunging a knife into the heart of Maurice. The result now is Maurice's life has been taken, and Darius Coakley's life is now in he's in state custody.
We got justice for Maurice, but at the same time, someone else's life is being destroyed.
But it's a lose-lose. Another black man behind bars for 25 years. Darius doesn't understand the light that he took out of my family's eyes. Maurice died not because he feared what was in front of him, but because he was defending what was behind him.
To honor Maurice, his family opened the store. A dream Maurice shared with his grandmother.
Maurice worked all day and all night in the winter to get it open, and he missed the opening. He wasn't there.
After that happened, his brother had to take on to finishing everything up, and he got the store up and running. And now it grew into another. He has a juice bar across the street. So, but Mo would be a part of all this. He was there. He was a big part of it.
I miss him.
A quiet Atlanta neighborhood faces a horrific crime.
I found a dead body in a trash can.
This looked like a ritualistic killing.
A detective with a passion to solve the case.
I know that it was similar to my aunt's case. It's bringing back some horrible memories.
A dark motive.
And she is marked on his door, and he won't let her in.
Comes to light.
Did she witness anything?
He said that she had got into a U-Haul.
But nothing.
Why you got blood in your house?
Is as it seems.
Markel had been shot multiple times. The doctors wasn't working to repair, they was working to save his life.
They had to amputate one of his legs, and a day or two later they had to amputate the other one.
There were 6 rounds fired in 11 seconds.
They immediately went on the run.
If they try to head to Mexico, they're just gone.
Not only has she moved on, he has embraced his children as his own.
Apparently, whenever they saw each other, it was a fight.
For every action, there's a reaction.
This time it ended in gunfire.
It's just after 10:33 p.m. on June 29th, 2014, in the Atlanta suburb of College Park.
Atlanta's a mix. It's a little bit of everything. It's fun, it's hot, it's fast, culturally mixed and diverse. Atlanta is a lot of fun, but it's also a little scary. You don't know what you're going to encounter here.
College Park is on the borders of Atlanta and East Point. Basically, you have two parts of College Park. You had a historic section, which is over by downtown, and then you have the other section. The crime there is really kind of heavy.
On June 29, 2014, police received a lot of phone calls on 911 reference to a shooting that had just occurred at a Texaco there in College Park.
The shooting occurred at 11 p.m. on a Sunday evening during the summer, while a lot of people are out and partying in Atlanta. Callers are saying that the victim has been shot multiple times, but he's still breathing. So at this point, time is of the essence.
Officers with the College Park Police Department rushed to the location along with an ambulance.
A citizen was still helping the victim who was on the ground, putting pressure on a wound. He stayed doing that until rescue arrived.
Paramedics take over and begin first aid.
Uniform Patrol confirmed that it was a shooting, and at that point they called for the Criminal Investigation Division, and we went out. We reported this to the parking lot. Of course, with any scene like that, it was chaotic. The EMS was already on the scene, working on the victim. We saw that the victim was an African-American male, and he was shot in the torso. There was a lot of blood.
It started getting pretty hectic with onlookers and everyone just coming to see what happened.
Police were trying to determine who was a witness and who could give them any information. The gas station owner, he recognized the victim as a customer of his, 30-year-old Markel Dalco.
Markel, also known as Q, clings to life, but barely.
Emergency rescue personnel got him stabilized. They get him loaded in the ambulance, and that's when they head to the emergency room at the hospital.
Several of the onlookers also recognize the victim. They alert Markel's family.
My phone rings. It's his friend. And she said, Mr. Dalco, I gotta talk to you. Are you sitting down? Sitting down? What's wrong? She said, it's Q. I was like, what about Q? She said, I need you to sit down. I said, go ahead, man, I'm good. I said, what is it? She said, Q got shot. I said, well, is he okay? He's conscious, but he's not okay.
Markel Dalco was born at Atlanta's Grady Hospital to Michael Dalco and Denise McCoy on May 5th, 1984.
And I had a beautiful baby boy. I looked at him and I saw love.
Markel's parents were young and not prepared to raise a baby. So the job fell to his paternal grandmother, a pastor at an Atlanta church.
I'm 18, I didn't really have stable employment. She's finishing school. It just didn't seem like the right time. And that's when my mother stepped in. She actually said, if you have him, I'll raise him. And she did.
Markel, Dad and I did have a good relationship, but we was young, and so things didn't work out. I would see Markel all the time, even though his grandma raised him. We would spend a lot of time together because he still would come over on weekends. We went to the same church, so me and his father, we saw him all the time.
It was a very functional, dysfunctional family. You know, everything looked like it could easily fall apart. There was some fragility involved, but we all made it work. And I think Mom was the real anchor to all of that.
Early in life, Markel showed he had a natural talent that ran in his family.
Markel came from a very musical background. His mother was a singer, his dad was a singer-songwriter, and by the age of 4, Markel was playing the drums like an expert.
Markel was the church drummer. And I don't mean some little guy sitting up there where you go, oh, isn't he cute? No, I mean, if you look away, you forget there's a little child on the drum set. He was amazing.
He traveled a lot with his grandparents. They were in this gospel group, and they would take him on the road. So he would get up on the stage while they perform, and he would be in the back performing with them.
He struggled in school, but not because he was academically challenged. He was bored because Markel was a musician. We had to stop regular school for him, and my mother started homeschooling him. He went homeschooled throughout high school, and then he went straight into music, rapping and producing and all of that.
College Park is a great place for up-and-coming artists. There's a lot of studios and a great place to network, and if you're an up-and-coming artist, it's where you want to be. A lot of rappers have come out of College Park, including Outkast, T.I., and 2 Chainz.
Markel was really trying to break into the rap industry. He was buying studio sessions, he was writing, he was spending all his spare time just to make his dream happen.
He could write raps just off the rip, and super talented in the studio. He walked in the studio and just everything made sense to him. He just had this knack for music, all things music.
Now in his early 20s, Markel was focused on his career. But he couldn't resist the distraction when he met a beautiful young woman.
Markel met Shanice Weaver, who is a single mother. She was beautiful, she was super charismatic, and they just hung out every single day after that. He really made it his duty to look after her and look out for the kids. They moved in together, and eventually Shanice became pregnant.
I was excited, and they already knew that it was going to be a girl. We had so many boys in our family.
2 years after their first child was born, Markel and Shanice welcomed a second daughter.
Markel was ecstatic to be a girl dad and could not wait to take on the role.
But after several years together, the young parents hit a rough patch.
Like any young couple, financial stress can happen. So things at times got heated, there were arguments. Markel and Shanice's relationship just became more and more toxic. Not only were they fighting verbally, they were fighting physically almost every single day. And eventually Shanice just left. Markel and Shanice decided that they needed to just work on themselves. They still had to co-parent. That was just something difficult that they had to work through.
But the night of June 29th threatens to leave Markel's daughters without a father. After suffering multiple gunshot wounds, Markel is rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. College Park detectives question the growing crowd of onlookers at the gas station, searching for someone who witnessed the shooting.
We separated the witnesses because when you interview witnesses, you don't want them to hear each other because their story will be the same. So we separated them, and then we started working the scene.
There were 2 witnesses at the scene.
The witnesses tell police they are acquaintances of Markel. Not only do they know the victim, they witnessed what happened.
It was a fight.
According to the 2 witnesses, Markel got into a verbal argument with another man and a woman.
Everybody starts arguing, calling each other's name, using profanity.
Witness actually helped break up the fight.
But the altercation wasn't over.
After he broke up the fight, they were standing there, and the female walked over to the car, retrieved the handgun, came back and gave it to him.
The 2 witnesses report that things went from calm to chaos.
It escalates into something a lot more serious when you got a gun.
Atlanta detectives are at a College Park gas station where 30-year-old Markel Dalco was shot multiple times. With Markel en route to the hospital, 2 eyewitnesses explain that the shooting started as an argument between the victim, another man, and a woman.
Both witnesses said they saw the female suspect hand the male suspect a handgun. He walked over and shot the victim. then at that point, they both left in a gold Crown Vic.
The witnesses are able to give another important detail.
Witnesses told police that the victim actually had a relationship with the female suspect. She was the mother of his 2 children. They told police that her name was Shanice.
As for the male suspect, the witnesses only know him as Shanice's man.
They just knew his name was Jay, and that was the new boyfriend.
They described Jay as over 6 feet tall with long dreadlocks. With 2 potential suspects, investigators continue the crime scene investigation.
And police found that there were 6 bullet holes in the window of the gas station. And 2 of the bullets were lodged in the wall.
Gas station employees pull footage from the store's surveillance system.
The employee of the gas station was able to provide video of the incident. Didn't catch the whole incident. He caught some of the fight. The fight went off screen, and then shortly after, you heard the gunshots. There were 6 rounds fired in 11 seconds.
And you don't actually see the shooting. You kind of see them arguing and whatever, and then they kind of move off camera, and you hear the gunshots.
The other thing the video doesn't show is a clear picture of the shooter's face. Detectives hope that Markel can help.
We had to go down to the hospital and talk to Mr. Dalco. We knew her name was Shanice, so we had to confirm that her name was Weaver.
They find Markel barely conscious and about to be wheeled into the operating room.
He gave us the information that the person involved in the shooting was his baby's mother, Miss Shanice Weaver.
As for the shooter, Markel doesn't know his name either.
Just knew his name was Jay, and that was the new boyfriend. And then he was rushed into surgery.
The surgeons start working on him. In fact, he was in surgery for 9 hours that evening.
Meanwhile, Markel's family has gathered at the hospital. As surgery gets underway, they wait with bated breath.
I remember a nurse coming out and she said that Markel was in the operating room and that he had been shot multiple times and pretty much the bullets had just ricocheted off of his organs. The doctors wasn't working to repair, they was working to save his life.
I thought he had been shot once. He had been shot 4 times.
And eventually a doctor came out and told us what had happened. And they said that he had passed, on the way, but they, brought him back. And he passed 2 more times on the table, and they brought him back. They said they thought they was done, but he started bleeding internally, so they had to go back and rush him, so they left us like that. So I was a wreck when I found out about that. Like my heart dropped, because that's one of the worst things that a mother want to hear.
Investigators leave the hospital to look for Shanice and her mysterious lover, Jay.
She lived actually close by to the area where the shooting occurred at. We knocked on the door. Miss Weaver wasn't there.
The police go to Shanice Weaver's mother's house, trying to find her. Maybe she's there. The mother tells them she has no idea where she's at.
Investigators fear the worst.
It doesn't take long to flee and get out of state. You can be out of state within an hour or so. The challenge then becomes, where did they go? How do you find them?
But we prayed up. His grandmother was a praying grandmother. Believe me when they say I have a praying grandmother, she was a praying grandmother. Praying for him, praying for his life, and we held on to faith. That's all we had was faith in the doctor that worked on him, wouldn't give up on him. And I thank God for him. They wanted him to let go, but he wouldn't. They wanted him to just give up. It was like, it's no hope. But that doctor stood in there.
Shanice Weaver and her new boyfriend, known only as Jay. Detectives are unable to locate either suspect and fear they may have fled the Atlanta area.
She never went back home. I think they probably immediately went on the run after the shooting.
So now, Shanice and her new boyfriend are both fugitives from justice.
Investigators issue a be on the lookout for Shanice, her boyfriend, and the Gold Crown Victoria they are suspected to be driving.
When you get suspect information, either their names or type of vehicle, that information is typically dispatched over the air to all local law enforcement.
Shanice's phone appears to confirm that the couple is on the run.
They started doing what we call pinging her phone, and you can see the phone moving, headed to California. We notified the U.S. Marshals. That's what we do when people cross over to another jurisdiction. We notify the Marshals, and the Marshals immediately start working on it.
The day after the shooting, Markel's father contacts police, letting them know he located a picture of Shanice and the mysterious Jay on social media.
We pulled it off and put it on our bolo.
The be on the lookout gets attention from an unexpected source, Shanice.
College Park police obtained a picture of Shanice and posted it on their website about her being wanted.
Once we put out the bolo, she found out that it was out there, and she immediately went on and started to taunt us.
That spurred Shanice to make a comment on their post saying, well, at least you got a good picture of him.
One of her public posts actually said, at least my mugshot is cute.
For the next week, Shanice and her lover remain on the run. Markel's family stays in touch with the police. While they don't know why Shanice and Jay would make an attempt on Markel's life, they acknowledge that he didn't have a great relationship with his ex.
Markel and Shanice were known to have a very tumultuous relationship. It got volatile at times in public, and people knew just by their relationship that they were constantly fighting.
The family also updates investigators on Markel's condition.
It was touch and go for some days. I mean, he was in a coma. It was back and forth. One day it was good news, the next day it was bad news. 1 minute it's good news, the next minute it's bad news. So it's a roller coaster, emotional roller coaster.
A week after the shooting, Markel is still in a coma. Doctors tell his family they must make a decision that will both save Markel's life and change it forever.
There was this one point in it where we thought we were losing him. The compressions weren't working. His feet are turning black because of no blood flow. One side was worse than the other. They talked about, they said we need to do an amputation because if we don't, that poison will get through his bloodstream and he'll die.
First they were saying that they was gonna have to amputate one. And then it came back and said they had to amputate both. And so they asked us to make one of the hardest decisions that we had to make, because you're making a decision for somebody that don't have a voice for themselves. And they said, do you want to take life over limbs, a limb over life? And we had to make the decision to choose life over limb.
They had to amputate one of his legs, and a day or two later they had to amputate the other one, so now he's a double amputee.
A local news station runs an update on Markel's story, asking the public's help in locating the two suspects and the Gold Crown Victoria they're believed to be driving. A day later, detectives get a call from an unlikely source, a member of Jay's family.
Police found out that Shanice's new boyfriend was actually Jonathan Bankston.
Jonathan's family reports to police that the 31-year-old has been checking in since hitting the road with Shanice.
The reason Johnson's family was helping the police find him, they were worried because of the seriousness of the crime that something may go bad, and they didn't want him to get hurt or shot by the police. His welfare was more important to them. They wanted him caught before something bad could happen.
Jonathan's family doesn't know where the couple is, but they promise to let police know if they hear more. Investigators don't have to wait long for news on the couple. The longer Shanice goes without getting caught, the more she posts.
After Shanice made her initial post, that kind of spurred her to start making other social media posts. She was posting her location, she was saying things to taunt the police, she was even going back and forth with the victim's uncle, taunting him.
It was almost fun for them. There was an attitude of maybe even being above the law. It seemed like it was an adventure and a Bonnie and Clyde duo and Catch Me If You Can.
For the near-fatal shooting of Markel Dalco, the mother of his 2 children, Shanice Weaver, and her new boyfriend, Jonathan Bankston, hit the road.
To know that the people that did it was on the run, I want them to be found, and I want them to be brought to justice.
Having eluded law enforcement for over a week, Shanice grows bolder by the day as she continues to post on social media.
Usually when people go on the run, they are hiding, they're afraid, they don't want to be seen, they don't want to be noticed. You expect to disappear and fall off the radar completely, but what's interesting about these two is that wasn't the case.
She struck me as being a person that liked the limelight, and she figured that was the way to get it, by going on her social media page and taunting us. That was the first time that I had anybody to actually tell me and taunt me on social media to come get them.
It might be a little frustrating, but what it also does, it motivates us. We're like, okay, you want to play this game? We're going to play this game with you.
Unbeknownst to the couple, both Jonathan and Shanice's friends and family back in Atlanta began working with police.
A lot of times suspects will call back to the area where the crime happened just to see what's going on, to see if anybody has any information.
Shanice started calling people from California. So it was actually some friends or relatives of hers that actually said, yeah, they're in California.
Investigators fear the lovers may have their sights set on Mexico.
If they try to head to Mexico, it's not too hard to get in, they're just gone.
Once they cross that border, there's no telling when they get caught.
On July 9th, 2014, 11 days after the shooting, one of Jonathan Bankston's family members calls police. The relative informs them that Jonathan just made plans to meet his aunt for a meal in Los Angeles.
At that point, the U.S. Marshals zoomed in on that restaurant.
Shanice and Jonathan thought distance mattered. They were 2,000 miles away from the scene of the crime. But in today's life, with the internet and communications, that distance doesn't mean a whole lot.
Thinking they're about to break bread with Jonathan's aunt, instead, Shanice and Jonathan are met by members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force.
Just 11 days after they were on their run, police set up a sting operation and they were able to catch Miss Weaver and Mr. Bankston.
With her being arrested in California, we didn't actually find anybody out there to interview her. We just waited for her to be extradited back to Atlanta.
Once they were taken in custody by the U.S. Marshals and local law enforcement in California, after the court proceedings were done, the U.S. Marshals escorted Shanice and Jonathan back to Georgia.
Jonathan and Shanice are charged with aggravated assault.
When we learned that they had been caught, it was a relief because we went a week not knowing where they are. Are they still in town? Is he in danger? We didn't know. So to find out that they had been caught, that's one less thing we had to worry about.
After the arrests, Atlanta investigators finally get the chance to sit down with the couple. The biggest question still looming over the investigation: is why. Shanice isn't saying.
Amazingly, with her ton nuts, when she got back to Georgia, she wasn't very talkative and she lawyered up. We went to attempt to interview her. She invoked her right to an attorney. And once she invokes her right to an attorney, we can't talk to her anymore unless she called us to talk.
They have no better luck with Jonathan.
He was more of a follower, and he kind of followed her lead, so he lawyered up also.
Neither Jonathan nor Shanice are talking. But there is one person who might still be able to shed light on the truth.
I turns around, and when I turn around, I see him pointing a gun at me. So I say, you know, he pointed that gun at me, you better kill me.
Gun violence is not the answer to situations. Try to think first before reacting. Life is too short to go through a lot of unnecessary drama. You know, you don't have to show up for every fight. You walk away. That doesn't make you a scary person or a punk or nothing like that. Walk away. I wish my son would have walked away. I wish that guy would have walked away. Because my son would still have everything that he lost. That guy would probably still have everything he lost. I don't know. But you don't have to show up to every fight. You don't have to prove nothing to nobody. Guns are not the answer. I would pray for any family that's going through this or have experienced this. I know the feeling. I know how you feel. But we can get through it with prayer.
With Shanice Weaver and Jonathan Bankston lawyered up and behind bars, the one person left who can shed light on why Markel Dalco was shot is Markel himself. Three weeks after the shooting and following a double amputation, Markel wakes up.
We was happy that he opened his eyes up, but when he started trying to feel for his legs, that was rough. Like, I'm turning my head trying to keep from crying so he won't see the tears. And he's looking scared because he's trying to figure out what's going on, you know, where his legs at. So that was kind of like a bittersweet thing, because you're happy that he's awake and, you know, you're excited he's still here. But then the bitter part is he's realizing he's not whole anymore.
When I first woke up, I was just actually happy to be alive. Because my whole life, I never feared death. I always felt like either you live or you die, you know what I mean? Live your life to the fullest in between.
He just dealt with it so graciously, and I was devastated. I was devastated.
Investigators visit him at the hospital. Markel explains that the tension between himself and Jonathan started when his kids began referring to Jonathan as their stepfather.
Yeah, but like, my kid don't need no stepdaddy, you know what I mean? They got a good father right here. I know you trying to make me jealous. And that's where our abuse started. Every time we'd see each other, it was something, you know what I mean? To the point where when we started having separate birthday parties and stuff for the kids and stuff, because we couldn't all be in a room together.
Apparently, whenever they saw each other, it was a fight.
It's like every time I see him, it'll be an issue. We either running him off the block, or I tell my people, like, y'all see this dude anywhere, you know what I mean? Don't even let him feel comfortable out here, because we don't even get along like that. And that was my way of not going to the next level, you know what I mean? Just keeping him away from me.
Markel tells police the situation came to a head when he ran into Shanice and Jonathan at the gas station on the night of June 29th.
Pulled up to the pump. I seen him coming out the store. So I had my gun too, but I took my gun out and put it up under the seat. And I went in and addressed him, you know what I mean? We had words back and forth, and we got into an altercation, a fight.
Markel's friend broke up the fight, but the violence wasn't over.
I heard like the gun cock. And he just started shooting after that. He missed like the first 4 or 5 shots. To the point where I didn't think he was trying to shoot me. I thought he was just trying to scare me. So at that point, I was kind of like trying him at that point, beating on my chest and throwing up my set and talking junk or whatever. But the next 4 bullets, they hit. I got hit 4 times. One in both legs, one in my stomach, and one like 3 inches away from my heart. I fell all the way back into the glass of the store behind me and shattered the glass and hit the ground.
The gunfire stopped, and Markel realized something terrible had just happened.
And I was like, I can't get up, there's something wrong with my legs. I was like, called the ambulance and tell them hurry up. And after that, I don't remember nothing else because I actually blacked out.
Markel may have wanted payback against Jonathan because Jonathan had stepped up as the father of his children, and Markel had threatened Jonathan before. And on this night, Markel actually became the victim of him wanting payback because he ended up being the one shot.
As usual, it was a fight, but this time it ended in gunfire.
People that pull the trigger, most of them don't even think about the consequences. They don't realize what they're doing at the time. A lot of it is ego, and they've made threats, and they just pull the trigger. And they find out later there's serious consequences.
While most of Markel's story falls in line with what investigators already know, there's one key detail that differs when it comes to Shanice.
A lot of people say that she actually passed in the gun, but I didn't see her pass in the gun.
Following their arrests on July 10, 2014, Shanice Weaver and Jonathan Bankston faced charges in the shooting that almost claimed the life of Shanice's ex-boyfriend, Markel Delco.
I remember speaking with the DA, and we talked about going for aggravated assault, and for each limb that my brother lost, that's a charge. He lost his legs, that's a charge. If you lose anything internally, that's a charge.
That's about as serious as you can get. Fortunately, the victim in this case didn't die. Otherwise the charges would have been escalated to murder.
Shanice and her defense attorney weigh her chances at trial.
They were taunting the police like, you can't catch me, that kind of thing. They can use that all against you in a court of law when it comes time to hear your case. And so therefore, what does that do? That just makes everybody mad, and obviously that could be enhance your sentence, getting a few more years because you're acting that way.
With a trial looming and her fate hanging in the balance, Shanice makes a decision.
Her record was not anything significant. So as a result of that, I was able to negotiate with the district attorney's office to work out a plea.
In turn, Shanice admits to playing a role in the shooting.
She had 2 children at the time with the victim. She, of course, at this time had a new boyfriend. So you had these 3 people, they all gotten into an argument. It was just a 3-ring circus, really.
As Markel also reported, Shanice claims she did not hand the gun to Jonathan. But that doesn't mean she is without blame for what happened next.
She got mad and upset. She told her boyfriend, go to the car, get the gun. And he went to the car and did get the gun. He ended up coming back with the gun and then ultimately shooting the alleged victim several times. She was, at that point in time, she was remorseful and sorry that it had happened, but she just made some bad decisions and bad judgment in this particular case.
Shanice pleads guilty to aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and 1 count of possession of a firearm in the commission of a crime.
At that time, there was a law in effect that if you had no prior felony convictions, you could enter a plea under the First Offender Act, and so that's what we were able to do in this particular case because she had no prior record.
Shanice Weaver was sentenced to 2 years in prison and 20 years probation.
Jonathan Bankston pleads guilty to 5 counts of aggravated assault and aggravated battery. He receives a much stiffer sentence, 20 years.
Your boyfriend was the one that actually pulled the trigger. Anytime you have a gun involved in aggravated assault, now you're looking at 20 years. So that's the reason why he got the sentence he got, is because they're going to really take that extra seriously when you got weapons involved.
For Markel's family, the sentences bring little in the way of comfort.
To be honest with you, and I'm speaking honestly, I felt bad for him. I felt bad for my son, because it was 2 lives destroyed. Like, to me, neither one of them have the life that they used to have.
Like, what did any of this accomplish? Okay, so you got to shoot him. Okay, you got to take a bullet. You're tough. Okay, you're tough. Okay, now you're in a wheelchair. You're in prison. Your dad is without his son. We all lost. Markel lost. Shanice lost. My granddaughters lost. My son's mother lost. I lost. The shooter boy lost. His father lost. Their family lost.
And I understand for every action, there's a reaction. There's consequences. And I think both of them are, looking back, there's probably different decisions that both of them probably would have made.
Years after he was shot, Markel Dalco still deals with the consequences of that 11 seconds of gunfire every day.
I was in the hospital for like about 8 to 10 months until they finally let me go home after I got shot. But it was a lot. I went through, like, at that time, it was probably about 50 or 60 surgeries at that time. I'm up to about 80 now. Sometimes I feel like I would have rather died after, most of the stuff I had been through. And wondering, asking God, why am I here? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
As it all turned out, maybe 3 months later, it seemed like it would have been better if he had died because of what he started going through. It was the worst thing that could ever happen to a person without dying. Death would have been like a relief. It was turmoil from that night till now. It has never ceased. It's not worth it. On both sides. On both sides. To the gentleman that shot him, to my son who got shot, both of them, both of their lives were devastated.
Shanice completes her prison sentence in 2016, prompting an unlikely reconciliation between her and Markel.
She was there, and she was explaining to me or whatever that she was afraid and kind of in shock. And when he drove off with her still in the car, she didn't know what to do after that, and she was kind of shocked because she didn't know if I lived through that or died. And so we done talked about it. We got past it. Though I still love her to this day. She still loves me. We still there for each other. But it's better off for us to be just co-parent. We got a great co-parenting relationship. It's still love. It's always going to be love.
While Markel has found peace with Shanice, he warns the desire for revenge isn't always worth the cost.
I don't regret what I did, because that's the type of person I was back then. And I feel like that's how I got my point across. It wasn't to the point where it should have been bullets flying at each other, if you ask me. But you never know what somebody else is thinking. So you can't never take that for granted, because the next man snap off like that and do anything in the next couple seconds. That's all it takes.